Bryan Freedman, Baldoni's attorney, has said we all have the videotape, all the footage. We have, the text messages, we have the emails. We're gonna see how consistent her testimony is, because I do feel like Justin needs discovery to find a lot of this evidence and have his day in court to prove a lot of it, just as Blake does. Blake doesn't have any evidence.
Behind every red carpet moment and viral tweet, Bryan Freedman says Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have been hiding something shocking. Could this be the unraveling of Hollywood's golden couple?
Bryan Freedman, Baldoni's attorney, has said he wants to see how consistent her testimony is with the actual facts. Now, Lively's lawyer, Mike Gottlieb, the same one who served me, by the way, previously said, of course, Lively will testify in the trial, stated for next year's March 2026. Now, the date has been revealed as the discovery process continues, and Lively's lawyers served subpoenas to 2 publicists connecting to Baldoni who are not parties in the legal battle. She also went to many third parties, including myself. But the publicist's attorney filed a motion for extension asking for an extra week to produce documents. One email sent on July 2nd that is exhibited to the filing that Lively's depo is set for July 17th. Reps for Lively didn't respond to People's request for confirmation of the date. People's also out to Baldoni's reps. But as we all know, the accusations and the trial set for March, Lively's lawyer told People back in May, the ultimate moment for a plaintiff's story to be told is at trial. We expect that to be the case here with Lively, so we would, of course, expect her to be a witness at her trial. Of course, she's going to testify. Now, Bryan Freedman has previously spoken about his plans for deposing Lively as they attempt to refute her allegations, and he told TMZ on June 10th that he was planning to do it. Asked for his strategy, he said, I'm going to ask her questions on her penalty of perjury. She's going to have to provide evidence, and she's going to have to provide the truth of the stories. We all have the videotape, all the footage. We have, the text messages, we have the emails. We're going to see how consistent her testimony is with the actual facts of what transpired. In that same interview, he said Baldoni is a person who wants to be vindicated. And that's all he cares about. He added that Baldoni knows who he is. He knows what he's done. He knows what he hasn't done. And he wants the truth to come out. And he wants that to happen in an appropriate way. Of course, that's the plan. He's waiting for his day in court where he can speak out to tell the truth.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It's hard to think of a more adored Hollywood duo. They've built an image of effortless perfection. A power couple who seem to have it all, from a picture-perfect family to thriving careers. Their social media banter has practically redefined the entourage couple goals, with millions hanging on every cheeky post. Add their philanthropy into the mix, whether it's donating millions to fight homelessness or advocating for environmental causes, and you have a pair of celebrities so polished that even their flaws feel calculated to make you love them more. But in a world where the spotlight can hide just as much as it reveals, is everything as perfect as it seems? Lately, there's been talk, quiet at first, from creators who've worked with the couple. At least, that's what Bryan Freedman says. Freedman's not just any attorney. He's Hollywood's go-to guy when deals get messy and reputations are on the line. Think high-profile disputes, big names, endless press coverage. That's Freedman's bread and butter. So why would he be stepping into the world of Blake and Ryan, seemingly untouchable as they are? According to him, there's more to their glowing reputation than meets the eye, and what he's uncovering could flip the script entirely. If you've paid attention to the couple's business ventures, you'll notice a theme. Their charm is front and center. Reynolds' Mint Mobile ads leaned heavily on his sarcastic, self-deprecating humor, while Lively's Betty Buzz launch used her classic wit and warm, perfect host persona to make sparkling mixers seem like a must-have lifestyle upgrade. And then, of course, there are collaborations with YouTube creators, Instagram influencers, and even TikTok stars. The campaigns are undeniably clever, funny, heartfelt, and endlessly shareable. But behind the laughter and glowing success stories, some creators are beginning to tell a different tale. One unnamed source claims their time working on a campaign tied to the couple was a nightmare of blurred contracts, shifting demands, and unmet promises. They describe a dynamic where charm became a weapon, where the very charisma that lights up the red carpet made it impossible to speak out when things went wrong. As one whisper turns into many, a pattern starts to emerge. Allegations that creators felt pressured to accept less pay, tighter deadlines, and terms that seemed to favor no one but the golden couple themselves. Could it really be true that the same charm captivating millions might be leaving others feeling powerless? According to Freedman, it's not just whispers anymore. It's a chorus. As more creators step forward, he's begun to unite these discontented voices into what could become one of his most talked about cases yet. "It's not about taking anyone down," he reportedly said. "It's about telling the real story." What that real story entails isn't fully clear just yet. But Freedman's laser focus on reputation-altering legal battles isn't exactly comforting for those on the receiving end. And if his track record is anything to go by, the truth he's hinting at may be anything but flattering. So that raises the big question. How did Freedman, the Hollywood legal titan, get pulled into the orbit of these seemingly untouchable stars?
Even if he had done some of the little stuff, it could have never snowballed into what it did without organic, genuine people reacting to Blake's real statements, her real actions. So this idea that they orchestrated it, the idea that Jed Wallace or Melissa Nathan or any of them forced me to do what I'm doing, or countless others over the summer to report on her ridiculous marketing choices, her bad attitude and junkets, her avoidance of DV, where it's like, girl, this is what the movie's about. I understand maybe you're trying to make it seem a little bit more Barbie for the sake of making it successful, but you got to know the tone and you got to know your time and place. And she just didn't throughout that whole marketing campaign. And beyond that, she was marketing her own companies. How does that help the film? It only helps her. So all of that was tone deaf. It was wrong. And you can't blame Jed Wallace for it. Now, do I believe he didn't even like a post or do it? That seems hard to believe, I'll be honest. But even if he did a little bit of that, I don't see how that's the retaliation campaign or the smear campaign. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But now the problem is he would be the one that they'd have to get the information for. And because Blake stupidly filed this in Texas and she made some errors, now she's stuck because she's going to have to do this by July 31st. Going straight to the bottom. Let's go to the last little line there. Boom, sorry, it's a lot. The 30th. Lively shall have the substantial completion deadline for such discovery is already passed. In recognition of the possibility that jurisdictionally relevant facts may be revealed or have already been revealed in discovery, Lively shall have leave to amend her complaint by July 30th, limited to the existing claims alleged in the Wallace defendants. Now, here's where it's a give, because Baldoni didn't get that same luxury, but now somehow Blake's getting it against Jed, because Jed admitted in the last hearing that Jed's attorneys admitted that, yeah, all the evidence has been, all they asked for has already been handed over a while ago. So Blake's had it. So now the judge is saying, well, I know you got all the discovery. So if you can prove that he did it in New York and we can bring it here, fine. Or if you want to take your evidence and then go back and prove him in Texas, go for it. It's all up to you. I'm struggling with whether that's really fair or not. I mean, I guess it is. I'm just frustrated because he should have given that same luxury to Justin, because I do feel like Justin needs discovery to find a lot of this evidence and have his day in court to prove a lot of it, just as Blake does. Blake doesn't have any evidence.
What would drive creators, some with everything to lose, to speak out against Hollywood icons like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? At first, it was just industry whispers. A few creators hinted at experiences that didn't quite align with the pristine image Blake and Ryan had so carefully crafted. But when you're up against two A-list stars with millions of fans and an influential brand empire, even whispering takes guts. So, why now? What made these creators break their silence? The alleged cracks began to show during collaborations tied to the couple's ventures. One creator, who remains unnamed, recounted what started as an amazing opportunity that quickly turned sour. After months of building trust over calls and meetings, they began to notice subtle shifts. Promises of creative freedom gave way to micromanaging, and the supposed partnership started to feel more like a one-sided arrangement where the creator's ideas and efforts were undervalued. In the end, they claimed the campaign's success was propped up by unpaid extra work that went far beyond the agreed terms. And when they tried to speak up, silence. It wasn't an isolated case. More creators began connecting their own stories, revealing patterns that were strikingly similar. Allegations of last-minute changes, low pay relative to the project's profits, and a general feeling of being used all painted a concerning picture. Here's what makes it ironic. The couple's brands often rely on their down-to-earth, relatable charm, the kind of image that resonates with social media influencers. But for creators behind the scenes, that charm could allegedly take on a different tone, one that left them feeling disposable. The quiet rumblings have now turned into a growing movement, thanks largely to Bryan Freedman. Known for taking on elite Hollywood players, Freedman is said to have been contacted by multiple creators looking for answers. What sets him apart isn't just his legal expertise, it's his tenacity when it comes to holding the powerful accountable. Freedman doesn't just take cases, he builds narratives. He digs for patterns, exposes holes, and pushes back against even the toughest opponents. And right now, his focus is squarely on Blake and Ryan. Some creators claim to have receipts, literal receipts, texts, emails, financial records. While none of these have surfaced publicly yet, sources close to the case have hinted that the evidence could paint a very different picture of the couple's dealings with creators. Freedman's been clear. It's not just about one campaign or one deal. He's suggesting a repeated pattern, a system where creators' contributions were minimized while the public-facing stars reap the rewards. And it makes you wonder, what exactly are these creators accusing Blake and Ryan of?
This part's the most shocking. Now, before we get there, what is this document? Let's summarize what's happening here. So this is a declaration of Kevin Fritz, one of Justin's lawyers, attorney for Baldoni. He submitted this document yesterday in partial opposition to Blake Lively and the Jones parties to motion to amend the case management plan and scheduling order to extend the fact deadline, the motion, as you can see here. So basically, he's explained that Lively's deposition was scheduled on June 23rd, but was moved until July 17th, as we knew was sort of supposed to be earlier, and then it got pushed already. This was all confirmed by documents that Fritz exhibited using emails, etc. Stephanie Jones was also given a notice on July 22nd. That's her publicist. I guess it was both their publicists at a certain point. But these are all things that were there. So he points out Jones parties claim they are not available to conduct a deposition on July 22nd. In response, I asked Jones parties to advise as to when. Counsel has failed to propose any alternate date. So she's, again, putting this off and not in a good way at all. But, they expect all of us, including me, to just drop what we're doing and do it instantly. But meanwhile, they need more time. I need more time, Your Honor. I need more time, Your Honor.
The accusations are coming in fast, and if even half of them hold up, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds may have more to worry about than a few bad headlines. What are creators actually saying? Let's break it down. First, there are the claims of exploitative contracts. Multiple creators report signing agreements that promised them collaboration and fair compensation, only for those deals to fall apart once things were underway. One creator described a contract that locked them into producing content on a tight schedule, but left them without the rights to their own work. By the end of the campaign, they claim to have racked up hours of unpaid labor, only to see the majority of profits go elsewhere. Then there's the issue of underpayment. For campaigns tied to the couple's ventures, influencers were allegedly paid far below the going rate for projects with comparable reach. You might think, well, it's Blake and Ryan. Aren't they worth the exposure? And sure, the power couple's involvement does guarantee a lot of eyes on the project. But creators aren't buying it. One accused the couple of using their fame to justify cheap contracts, claiming, "They act like we should be grateful just to work with them. But at the end of the day, exposure doesn't pay my bills." But the most troubling allegations? Controlling behavior. Some creators have said working with the couple feels less like a collaboration and more like a dictatorship. Demands would allegedly change at the last minute, creating chaos behind the scenes, and any pushback was met with thinly veiled intimidation. This is where their star power comes into play. The couple's massive celebrity status reportedly made smaller creators feel like they couldn't speak up. One influencer hinted, "If you say no to them, you know there's a line of people behind you willing to say yes." Here's the twist. Bryan Freedman isn't just focusing on a handful of stories. He's working to prove that these aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a repeating pattern. It's becoming clear that this case could be bigger than anyone initially realized. Behind all those social media posts showcasing their charm and humor, Freedman says there's a track record of creators who felt exploited, undervalued, and ignored. And now, there's a wider ripple effect. Rumors are swirling that some entertainment companies and brands are stepping back, quietly reevaluating their partnerships with the couple. Are they cutting ties before the fallout gets worse? While no official announcements have been made, industry sources seem to think the writing's on the wall. And here's where it gets even messier. Freedman allegedly has evidence, texts, contracts, maybe even recordings. Everyone's speculating about what this could mean for their reputation. If this evidence goes public, it could change everything. So what does this mean for their empire, their many ventures, and their golden image?
Miss Lively's counsel alleges that they're in the middle of noticing and scheduling another third party for deposition. In other words, rather than scheduling the depositions, scheduling the depositions of Wayfair, counsel is busy allegedly subpoenaing various non-party content creators. And then if you click on over there, indeed, more celebrities caught in the fire. Me? I'm a celebrity. Perez, Candace, myself, YouTuber Annie Signor. Her attorneys are claiming that they worked with the 300 influencers in a smear campaign. This is so defamatory. Like, that's what the media is taking it as. We are working with them as in a smear campaign. That's some serious allegations. Serious allegations implying that I did that when I didn't. Anyway, I digress. We will get there in a second. But now I'm actually mentioned in this from his own team, Justin's team, to notice that, yeah, they are doing this. Rather than actually get to the real subpoenas, they're still out there trying to find evidence, which doesn't exist. Clearly, I know it doesn't exist with me. Doesn't exist with them. This period, especially in question, I don't know what they're thinking. There was no retaliation, it seems. Just because there was a text saying we can bury anyone doesn't prove they did. The internet reacts the way they do. That's what's so frustrating, why I've been so passionate about this. We reacted to Blake's own words, not to Justin Baldoni's PR campaign. It's offensive how dumb she thinks we all are. All people who reacted genuinely to what Blake did that summer. We're all part of a retaliation smear campaign. Give me a break.
The tide seemed to turn overnight. Once celebrated as a symbol of love, success, and untouchable charisma, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are now facing a growing wave of backlash that shows no sign of slowing down. Social media, their usual playground of humor-filled posts and adoring fans, has become a forum for scrutiny. Hashtags are popping up, conversations are growing louder, and fans are digging through past campaigns with a much more critical eye. Suddenly, what used to be seen as innovative or endearing comes off to some as calculated, or worse, manipulative. Even fan accounts, once blindly supportive, are beginning to question whether the couple's perfect image is just too good to be true. The whispers of discontent have also reached the boardrooms of brands. One noticeable sign? Rumored reconsiderations of sponsorships that once seemed solid. An insider close to a major marketing deal has hinted that internal discussions are underway about rebalancing their association with the couple's brand, pointing to the mounting controversy as a reason for these quiet moves. While no official decisions have been confirmed, the hesitation from major corporations speaks volumes. For celebrities who tie so much of their identity to public goodwill, losing partnerships could be catastrophic, not just financially, but in how it impacts their cultural relevance. Consider one campaign tied to a beverage company that Blake personally championed. At the time, it was a runaway success, with ads that perfectly captured her charming, approachable vibe. But after the recent allegations surfaced, even this collaboration is facing questions about its behind-the-scenes dealings. Did the creators involved in those campaigns experience the same grievances others are alleging? With the current spotlight on their working relationships, it's becoming tricky territory for companies to defend partnerships without risking their own reputations. For a couple who have relied so heavily on their charisma to disarm criticism, this moment feels different. The self-deprecating tweets and flawless smiles no longer feel like enough to wave away the seriousness of what growing numbers of creators are alleging. And the usual charm offensive? It seems to be falling flat. As the allegations gain traction, the narrative seems harder to control, leaving fans and critics alike to ask what might be bubbling beneath the glittering surface of their carefully curated lives. And then there's the question of legacy. Their influence isn't limited to Hollywood or ad campaigns, it's woven deeply into pop culture itself. But this backlash could mark a turning point, a moment when their shining reputation begins to crack under the weight of repeated claims. Big names have seen their careers survive scandals before, but Freedman's pursuit of justice for the creators signals a fight that's only just begun. And if the growing wave of public criticism isn't enough, the evidence Freedman hints at might deliver the kind of blow that no amount of witty comebacks can repair. Could this really be the start of the end for Hollywood's golden couple? Bryan Freedman is making one thing very clear. He's not just working on hearsay. According to sources close to the case, he's got evidence, real, tangible evidence that could do more damage to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds than any viral rumor ever could. The big question is, what exactly is he sitting on? Is it a set of emails that contradict those glossy PR statements? Maybe detailed contracts that expose exactly how imbalanced some of their deals with creators were? Or could it be something even more personal? First-hand testimonies from influencers or video clips that contradict the couple's well-crafted brand of charm wouldn't just stir up public interest. They'd blow the entire story wide open. This wouldn't be the first time solid evidence turned the tide in a Hollywood scandal. Remember the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard court case? Leaked recordings and text messages completely reframed the conversation, influencing both the courtroom outcome and how the public viewed them. When receipts like that go public, the narrative shifts almost overnight. And if Freedman's evidence is even half as explosive as what insiders are hinting at, Blake and Ryan could be facing a similar reckoning, one that might not be as forgiving as their fan base has been in the past. Speculation about what Freedman could reveal is swirling everywhere, especially online. Some say he's compiling an organized timeline of creators' complaints, complete with documentation that ties the couple directly to some of the most glaring allegations. Others think he has proof of behind-the-scenes negotiations that contradict the polished partnerships Blake and Ryan present to the world. One rumored detail? That creators were allegedly encouraged to sign NDAs to silence any complaints. If this is true, and if Freedman can back it up, it wouldn't just tarnish their image, it could raise serious ethical and legal questions about how they do business. When it comes to reputation-damaging cases like this, Hollywood lawyers follow a predictable playbook. Keep things out of courtrooms and headlines, settlements happen behind closed doors, statements get filtered through PR teams, and the goal is always to protect the client's image. But Freedman isn't playing by those rules. His reputation isn't built on finding quiet resolutions, it's built on messy fights that end with powerhouses losing control of their narrative. And that's exactly what's happening here. The longer Freedman teases evidence without revealing everything, the more people start to wonder if there might actually be something monumental behind his words. Freedman himself has only dropped one ominous statement. The truth will come out, and it won't be pretty. Whatever this evidence is, it's not just making creators nervous. It's putting an entire brand empire on the brink. So, what happens next? How deep does Freedman's case go, and can the couple recover from it?
The golden glow of Hollywood doesn't always hide the cracks beneath. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds built a flawless empire on charm, but is it starting to fall apart? As creators speak out and Freedman promises explosive revelations, the couple's reputation stands at a crossroads. What happens when the perfect image faces hard evidence? Share your thoughts. Do you think they'll weather this storm? Or is this the beginning of the end for their reign? One thing's for certain. Behind every glamorous facade, there's always another story waiting to be told. And Hollywood? It may never look the same again.